Hello everybody and welcome back to another race day, and here we are in Miami for a rainy qualifying session. This is going to be epic. The drivers will be tested in rainy conditions, but we do have the return of the Season 1 World Drivers Champion, Season 1, one half Season 1 Constructors Champion, Preston, who is going to be going into the Haas today as the reserve driver. Of course, no one is in Haas, but he's the only reserve driver, so we can go with whoever he wants. But of course, Ritvik may be joining us a bit later, but we do have the other half of this commentary pair right now here with us. We have Peter once again.
Yeah, good to be back, Dan. You know, another weekend to have some fun.
Exactly, and what fun it will be to see the drivers once again go at it as we normally do.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting weekend after coming off the back of another race not that long ago. You know, we had a fantastic introduced person, George, stating his entrance and his debut to F1 in DFL Championship League as he goes and gets pole and bags the win as well. What a way to start a career.
Of course, and you bring up the DFL Championship. Yes, we have got a name change, people. You would have seen via the past two videos. For the name is a bit different on the title. And yes, it is. It is now no longer the DCNX F1 Championship. No, we're going by the DFL Championship, the DCNX F1 League Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great, and it's short, and it's very simple, and it sounds great as well.
Exactly, so it's hopefully going to be a good one. And we do have currently Jamie, Bailey, and Preston, and George, and Harry. Yes, Harry's back this race, and Charlie out on track. So we have 7 drivers here today, the most we've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I think it's going to be an interesting race today. You know, I feel like with Preston coming back, Harry coming back after not being here for a race, you know, I think Harry will be eager to get a podium, maybe take the lead of the championship. You know, I mean, let's talk about the championship at the moment, Dan. You know, obviously coming off the back of Spain, you know, George was one race down, right? He came to Spain. He bagged the pole. He gets a point for that because you get a point for getting pole, and then he got the win and then the fastest lap, taking home the maximum amount of points that day for a driver himself, which is quite impressive, to be fair, Dan. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was an amazing show by George. Definitely showed up a few of our drivers, that's for sure. A lot of the
Yeah.
guys will be determined to hopefully take a fight to him, especially Harry, who hasn't seen him yet. But as you bring up the championship table, you currently have George leading the championship by 1 point against, well, Charlie and the other Red Bull AI. I mean, of course, we do count the AI points as well, just to make the championship a bit more entertaining. So it's definitely it's going on today. It may be early in the season, of course, we all know stuff can change throughout the season, but it's definitely looking interesting here today, that is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're spot on about that, mate. You know, we talk about the championship a little bit more. You know, Charlie, he came off of a very unfortunate race. You know, DNFing, mean he gained no points, and you know, despite gaining no points, he's still 1 point behind the current drivers. The champion. Well, the leader of the championship. Yeah, yeah. That's what I was trying to say. I can't speak today, guys. But we all have those moments. But, you know.
Charlie sets 139.357. Great that by Charlie. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just watching Preston right now, and, you know, he's looking quite good at the moment. Can Preston match Charlie's time? It's going to come around the final corner, and he does go, and he's on provisional pole by less than a tenth. What a lap from the reigning champion.
I will tell you, not the reigning champion, Carl's the reigning champion. Preston is the Season 1 World Drivers Champion. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit fact about Preston. He is brilliant in the rain. He is even better than he is on dry tracks than if it's raining. You get him in on a rainy track, he will absolutely perform.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a good skill to have as well. And you know, the person who won the race last time, he's on an out lap, and I want to see what this guy, what George can do. Really, you know, quite interesting. You know, got pole, but you know that was in a dry. This is a whole different test now. He stated to me earlier on today that he's going to go and win this race. I mean, let's see if this man can hold his word and see if he can actually win it. You know, he probably didn't expect it to be a wet qualifying session. It might even be a wet race as well. You know, I mean, if it is a wet race, Dan, then what's your thoughts and like how do you think it's going to play out?
I definitely think it could completely change the scene. I mean, the drivers will have to adapt to the weather change. They may be used to Miami on a dry base, but what about a rainy, wet base? I mean, Bailey, as we say, has overtaken Harry with a 141.894. Harry with a 142. Bailey is up a second on Harry. Can we just appreciate that? Well done to
Yeah, I
Bailey.
mean, yeah, no, I think that Bailey, I
Oh,
think he's improved.
we did just say about him being up on Harry, and Harry's gone P5 with a 140.207, so obviously there's a bit of mistake in that. But Jamie is still quite close to Bailey, who knows? But as you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope to see that Bailey, you know, gets higher up in today. You know, he was saying to us yesterday that his aim is to maybe hit maybe mid-table, mid-grid, should I say? You know, to maybe have a chance at a go at the top 10 and definitely score his first set of points in DFL Championship at the moment. Still yet to score a point out of these first two races. He was very close in Spain and got very unlucky. I mean, you know, that's not something that you want, but you know, despite that he's being new to the game, you know, I think he's doing good, and he's currently 5 tenths up on his best lap.
He did say to me that he really does love this track. It is a really good track, so it's definitely going to be interesting what he can pull out today. But can we just give, I mean, we'll wait till George gets his time in, obviously, and then we're going to give you a quick, you know, pre-finish of qualifying grid rundown of where everybody is, because it's a bit mix and match, ain't it, to be honest. There goes George. Would you want to do it? Just name where our drivers are and their times?
I mean, you can do this at this time.
Alright, well, currently, sitting in provisional pole, you have the returning Preston, the reserve driver, of course, showing up everyone here today with a 139.284. Following him closely is Charlie in P2 with a 139.357, so only 1/10 of a second in Matt. Then going down quite a bit to P8. In fact, you have Harry in the Ferrari, not their last race, but in this race, of course, with a 140.207. And then just going down a bit more, you have George in P15 with a 140.838. That just goes to show how close it is between 5th and I'd say about 17th, which is where Jamie lies with a 140.930. But following him, not, well, closely behind, he's not actually that far away. So I think he could be, you know, very, not, you know, dangerous, but he could really go for it this race. Bailey with a 141.894.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking good, you know. I mean, Charlie, he was there in qualifying. Well, I would say he was there. I mean, I think it was 4 attempts off George's pole, pole lap in the end, you know. Never got to get a lap in towards the end. Denied. He was super close to crossing that line, but just couldn't get across the line fast enough to maybe challenge the pole. But he still started in the front row, and this could be a second front row start for him if he really tries. He's only a 10th off of less than a 10th probably off of Preston right now. I mean, that's quite incredible at the moment, don't you think?
Yes, it really is. It does go to show you how close the top flight is right now. You know, there are many competitors going at it for this championship, and I can't wait till Carl comes in to this equation next race. Hopefully Preston's there as well. Imagine like 5 different drivers going for that P1 position.
You know, I feel like, you know, that'd be a great scene for this championship to have. But you know, you have to sort of keep it realistic at the moment and think that it's great that we got 4 people contending for the title within the first the first 2 races. We've had 2 different race winners. We've had Charlie in the opening of Bahrain and then George in Spain.
Which
you know,
George has just spun, by the way. So
oh
very
no.
unlucky for George.
Yeah, I was just watching Charlie's time. I was just watching him set a time now. I just want to see what... Oh, wait. No, he's starting it now, I believe?
No, he's just set time and he was
Yeah,
0.3 seconds off.
Oh, no. That's his outlap. That was his outlap. So this is his actual lap.
Can we just add Jamie in P3 again?
Bravo to him. And he's only what? I think that's... No, wait. That might only be...
0.6 of a second off.
Yeah, so, something like that. It was like six tenths, you know. So I saw Jamie in P15 and I was like, well, he was in the lower half of the grid and I was like, this could not be the session for him again. It might be another repeat of Bahrain. But he's proven me wrong and he's gone P3. That's quite astonishing from him. And I'm watching Charlie right now. I mean, if you watch his onboard, he was only less than, I think... He wasn't even that much off of Preston's time. So, you know, it goes to show how much time he can still go to gain. And he has to pass that Ferrari, which might have ruined his lap. Sorry, I can't speak. But I feel like, you know, he might be able to gain time through this section. You have to keep it quite neat through here. Make sure you don't lose the rear end, you know. And you have to be easy on the throttle coming out of this section. If you're too early, you're going to lose the rear end and you're going to lose the lap.
Yes, it's definitely going to be very interesting, that's for sure. Charlie really has to take it carefully, but also try and get the most out of that apex speed out of those corners, really he can. To get that 10th of a second he needs on Preston, who's still up at provisional pole with 6 minutes to go. Will he be able to hold on to this?
Yeah, I reckon he will. I mean, if Charlie can get in now, get some new sets of tyres, and then go out towards the very end of the track, leaving him enough time to cross the line, but still be able to get a lap time in, and make sure he's not sitting in front of cars or, well, sitting behind cars, because, you know, he wants to be able to have a clean air. You want to be able to set a lap time without cars getting in his way, and I think that's... the reason I think that he was down by 3 tenths in the second sector, I believe, you know, I think it was because of that Ferrari, and I'm not quite sure what Ferrari that was. It might have been Harry, actually, which indeed might have... No, it might have been Carlos Sainz, to be fair, then. I was about to say it was Harry might have gone his way, but it was one of the Ferraris either way, you know, but, you know, I feel that Charlie can get pole, you know. It's great to see him get pole, first pole of the season, you know. I mean, he's definitely shown that this year he's going to be here and he's not going to be going away without a fight. Do you agree with that one, Dan?
Oh yeah, completely. I'm very sorry to move off of Charlie for a second, but if you look down in P12, we have Bailey with a 140.416 up there.
Bravo to him. Well done to Bailey, actually. You know, I'm glad to see that he's doing well. I mean, maybe the wet weather maybe suits him a bit more. You know, hopefully the race can maybe go from wet to dry, so it changes. And I think, he was only Charlie was a 10th up, and it's super close. I mean, look at the times. Oh no, it's not even close. It wasn't even close. Sorry, I just looked at the time of the provisional pole sitter right now, which is Preston with a 138.247. With where Charlie, he is currently out of 139.24. So he's more or less a second off of Preston. Which this is probably where the track is getting a lot drier now. Track evolution right now.
And I definitely think it's going to be very interesting when it dries, because I think Charlie and Preston going wheel to wheel, especially with Harry in P3 and Jamie in P4, that is going to be a battle we want to see. But, you know, we already discussed how, you know, Carl isn't here, but what we forgot to mention was Bradley is unfortunately not here as well today. So, whichever McLaren, again, gets highest will be the points rewarded to Bradley, Who knows how he's going to do? We'll see how he is at the end of the race. But it'd be great if we could get all 7 drivers plus Preston in one race. I mean, 5 place grid penalty for Ricardo there. And for Hamilton, in fact.
Yeah, I've just seen that, in fact.
But if we could get all 7 drivers plus Preston in Abu, maybe even that potential 8th driver for we may be bringing in. I say potential because we don't know for certain yet, but we're having a look and seeing what will happen. Who knows?
Yeah, I think Charlie's going to leave it too late. He's going quite slow by the looks of things.
Low fuel
I can't
mileage,
quite...
actually.
Maybe I think that's where you normally the way I would approach going into a wet qualifying is put quite a lot of fuel in and just do laps and laps and laps, because I'm telling you, you'll get the tyres warm by doing it and you'll just keep improving each and every single lap. So that's how I would approach a wet qualifying session. You know, that's how I would personally do it. I mean, I don't know what the drivers are doing, and I'm not quite sure what Charlie do. He might be letting this.
What is he? No, he's moving.
Wait, maybe he's letting. I think he's letting drivers through, but he needs to keep moving so he doesn't get that timer. And
oh, there it is.
And that's the Aston Martin's lap blocked, and then the Williams, the McLarens. Maybe the McLaren didn't get ruined so much. I mean, let's talk about one person right now, and that's George, and he's down in P18. I mean, a man who was on pole last race and won it, you know, is now down in P18.
It goes to show that with a change of weather can really change the whole dynamic of a qualifying session of a race. I mean, if a driver is not prepared for a climate change, they are not prepared to, you know, win a championship, in my opinion. A driver has to be able to adapt to certain situations, to different climates, to different situations on track, everything, to be in the running for a championship. But then again, we're only, third race in. Don't count George out, but I definitely think there'll be more rain races to come that could affect his chances.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the man who he was 1 race down and now leads in championship, he is currently 4 tenths, almost 5 tenths up on his original lap. So currently he stands to go up to P14 already in the first sector. Let's see if he can gain more. I think the track's looking a bit more drier now, so you know, maybe everyone's lap times is going to be improving quite massively. And one person we should
5 seconds left. Right?
Yeah, I mean, one person we haven't talked about this session is Harry a little bit. You know, he's only a 10th off of Charlie, so if Harry can improve his lap, you know, then he can probably get a front row start.
What has happened to Harry though?
And Jamie's currently moved down to P8.
Harry's retired from the session. He couldn't get out because of how many drivers were going past him.
Down to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, but I've just seen George's purple sector 2. Sorry to interrupt you, but I've just seen a purple sector 2 for George.
Wow. Could this be a potential... Oh, I hear an echo. Is that yours?
Wait, I think George might have just got pole. I don't know if it...
No, he's ended up in second.
Oh,
Preston
no.
takes pole. That means Jamie goes down to P3. Harry takes P4. No, actually, he completely changes the whole dynamic. Preston takes P1. George takes P2. Charlie P3. Jamie P4. Harry P5. Then we go down a bit and you see Bailey in P15. How has this changed the dynamic? I cannot wait for this race. Just wait for a minute, guys. You're about to be in excitement. Hello everybody and welcome to the Miami Formation Lap. Here we go. What an interesting race we are in for. We have 5 drivers at the top 5. What will this battle mean between the 5 drivers?
You know, I mean, like we saw in Spain, you know, we could potentially see a crash again, maybe a safety car. As this is sort of almost like a street circuit. It's not so much a street circuit because, you know, it's no roads connected to it. But, you know, it's quite close in, so if you are going to hit something, you're probably going to hit the wall first, and it could probably lead to a lot of safety cars. You know, within the first 2 races, we've seen 4 safety cars already, which is quite unusual. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen something like this in out of the 2 seasons you've done, Dan, but you know, it's currently
Oh, sorry.
I was about to say, to be fair, it's still wet, so maybe we might get a transition into the from wets to dries, which will switch up the grid massively.
It will do, yes. And you mentioned the safety cars. If you will go back on season 1 and season 2, you will know how chaotic our league is with safety cars. Practically every race we have a safety car, or 2, or 3. So yeah, it's quite massive to be fair. But Bailey has gone down to P15 here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is his best qualifying position so far. So, I mean, if he can hold his water, do well, just stay out of trouble for the first few laps. Sorry about that. If he can stay out of trouble for the first maybe couple of laps, I think he'll be good as new. And you know, I think he can sail through this race and maybe gain positions. Hopefully, maybe a few people get hit and he gains those positions. And, you know, I reckon his race will be quite good today. I mean, as you said, he's been practicing and, you know, I think it's really good that he has, and he's taken note that he needs to maybe start looking at what tracks we've got and just start practicing them, so that when you go to do this race, you know, the pressure's sort of off, because like, oh, I don't really know this track layout so well. I don't know how I'm going to do. So by getting in loads of practice, you know, I think it'll be good. As the last driver of the few drivers formation lap is almost coming to an end now, Dan. You know, I think it's almost time for lights out.
Right, and here we go. We have 5 red lights, and people, it is lights out and away we go for the Miami Grand Prix with Preston leading it, but George gets the overtake.
It's a great start for George. Goes into turn 1 leading. He's taken Preston already. So all George has to do now is hold Preston up and maybe just get away now from Preston. You know, what a great start from George. What a brilliant start. And the man who wasn't really looking that good in qualifying, looking like he could be starting from the back of the grid, is now leading the race once again.
This could be something for George, but don't count out Preston yet. Preston is very dangerous and he will be on the hunt for him, but Charlie does look to be on the tail of Preston, and then followed closely by Jamie. Harry's dropped down to P6. You've got Bailey still holding that P15 position very nicely. Well done to Bailey for holding on to that too there.
I think I just see Bailey died down the inside of someone, I think. Or that might have been the other AlphaTauri actually. Never mind. Yeah, I just saw an AlphaTauri and I thought, oh, he's diving for it. Nice.
But yes, he again, it has a lot of traffic behind him, but he may be going for an overtake. He slightly spun Carlos Sainz here.
I mean, I'm currently watching the fight for P3 and P3 and 4 at the moment as Jamie tries gaining on Charlie. He's going to go wheel to wheel with Charlie. He goes into P3. Now he just needs to hold up. They still go wheel to wheel into this hairpin. Who's going to have the better line? Jamie's going to have the better line. He's going to have the better line, and he comes out in front. He's 1 car length in front now, and he's trying to get away from Charlie right now, but Charlie looks like he's getting him back on the straight. Will Charlie try to make a move? It doesn't look like he'll make a move just now. It looks a bit too risky, but Jamie, what a move, going down the inside of Charlie to get that P3 slot.
Of course, there is no DRS activated quite yet, but I believe it will be next lap. And that is Preston with a P1 position back.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just it almost looked like George let him free as George slightly goes wide. I mean, I want to watch his onboard real quick. I mean, the fight for first can be very, very interesting. George has someone to challenge this weekend. I mean, that is very, very good. I mean, Preston coming back for a first race since what's this, his first race? Yeah. Exactly, and as George tries to go around the outside, they still go to will. He's a half car length behind him at the moment, but Preston just holding him up with that great defending, trying to hold George up as much as he can so that he can just keep him behind him for as long as he can. And as George tries to get past through this chicane area, keeping it very neat, he needs to have a good acceleration through this corner. Almost has to correct the car a little bit, but Preston has the better exit out of that corner, and Preston is the one still leading. George is slightly gaining, but Preston is now gaining. He's probably using his ERS right now to get away from George. He's 5 tenths away.
And yes, nicely done by Preston, but can we just nip down a second? Charlie back in the P3 position, Harry still fighting, has a lot of traffic around him, but up to that P5 position. Preston sets a new fastest lap with a 1:38.483. Bailey was P17, now back up to P16, now dropped back down to P70, but he is in a battle with George Russell right now, unfortunately backing a bit down, but this might be his time, using his ERS. Unfortunately, no DRS, going for it on the inside, and oh no, I meant the outside, sorry, no.
But what a move! And, yeah, I mean, what a move though.
Gets that P16 position. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it clearly goes to show that he's a bit more confident in that car, sending moves now. He knows that he's not afraid to go for it and get his elbows out when he needs to and to make the moves. And, you know, it's all right for him because he can take risks at this rate. He can take risks and it won't really affect him as much. But, you know, he doesn't really want to have something affect him that badly. But, you know, you can show that the practice has really come through for Bailey now.
It really has, as yes, he is still under fire by George Russell, but he is getting away. He has currently a 0.4 second gap. He's trying his best, but I do believe DRS has been enabled or will be enabled on this lap. I'm not too sure, really.
I'm sorry, Dan, but George, it looks like he's about to make a move on Preston. He's really behind Preston at the moment, following quite nicely through this section. He's only a 10th now. Will he try and make a move around the outside? Oh, Preston just holds that line, and it's really good from Preston, holding that inside line for the better line. And now and George almost has to. Oh, it's a really close almost.
Spins, and that is a serious loss of time. Still with him at 1 second, but has a lot of work to do. Jamie and Charlie still battling away. Now Jamie and Harry, in fact. Harry tried to go in for the inside line, but couldn't get it. Is now still trying to battle. And Harry jumps back a little bit. Very unlucky for Harry there. And Valtteri Bottas gets the overtake on Harry as well.
Yeah, I mean, it did look like he got slightly pushed wide, so he did lose a lot of time through that sector. But the Ferrariman has no problem getting past. But not quite just yet. He goes slightly wide now, but he's still trying to gain on that Alfa Romeo, so he can get back into that fight for that P3 slot. It's going to be quite an interesting end for P3 today. I mean, if it's Harry, Jamie and Charlie all trying to fight for P3, that's going to be very interesting. As you can see,
Valtteri Bottas maybe going for the overtake on Jamie now. Can Jamie defend it off nicely? But why don't we just look up a little bit, just a minute. You have Preston still being under pressure by George here, and now Charlie is also getting in the fight as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good. You know, Charlie's only 1.6 seconds behind George, so if these two keep scrapping away, this could really lead to something interesting. A three-way fight for the win. Could it be a five-way, maybe? Yellow sector 2, as it says on my screen, but it's all good now.
Quite an accident by Bailey, in fact. He's down into P17. I'm not sure whether he kind of skidded or whether he just slipped out or not. I do not know. Harry, in fact, is going down. He has, I think, collided with Valtteri Bottas down to P12 now. Very unlucky for Harry. And that's not a good start to his race whatsoever.
Yeah, but I'm sure, you know, you saw him in Bahrain, you know, he had a penalty, and I'm pretty sure he also crashed out as well, and, you know, he still managed to fight for podiums.
Bailey, what has happened? Massive build-up. 5-second penalty to Bottas.
Yeah, I mean, I just see that pop up on my screen as well. I mean, I don't even know what's going on at this rate, you know. It's quite an interesting race already.
And you're only 5 laps in. I'm excited to see how this goes. But Bailey going for an overtake on Valtteri Bottas here. May get it. Trying on me outside, and he does get it. Nicely done by by Bailey here. Nice move to get back that P16 position.
Yeah, I mean, I just see George and Preston still scrapping away. George is still less than half a tenth. Not even half a tenth, He's following Preston quite nicely, and he almost tried making a move down to the hairpin before he go into that chicane area, but he's had a nice exit out of this one. He pulls out to the left-hand side of Preston, tucks back down inside so he can get that slipstream. Will he pull out to the right? Will he pull out to the left? Who knows? Will he try to pull a dummy on him? Preston, no. But Preston driving in the middle of the road. George pulls out to the right-hand side, but Preston still holds the beautiful line, making his car wide as possible and holding up George. Preston, may I say, is doing a fantastic job at holding George up. And George must be getting frustrated in that car right now because he knows he can get past Preston. He just needs to find a way.
Preston is currently showing you why he is the Season 1 World Drivers Champion, people. Do not mistake it. And may I just say, I'm not sure if you've noticed, Peter, but in our current F1 chat, apparently Jamie is cutting quite a few corners, and it may be affecting Harry a lot here, and that's the reason why he's so far down. We'll definitely have to investigate that. But George has just got the overtake by going quite wide.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him go quite wide, but it was around the outside. But Preston comes back through. They go wheel to wheel now, and this is going to be quite interesting. Preston takes the lead again. He's using up all his ERS so he can get past back George. Preston moves to the left-hand side. George moves to the right-hand side. Who will be the latest of breakers? Looks like George will be the latest of breakers. He goes round the outside of Preston. Will George hold it? They still go wheel to wheel through this section, and they're still going wheel to wheel. This is amazing between these two. Keeping it clean, has shown a lot of respect for each other and keeping so they don't make contact. A lot of respect between these two. And now a third person has been introduced because these two have been fighting for so long. Charlie has introduced himself now. He's only 9/10 away from George.
Can we just spring up a second? Harry, of course, discussing Jamie's corner cutting. Jamie's just been awarded a 3-second time penalty due to corner cutting. It does go to show he's corner cutting a lot. Maybe really does need investigating here, and but perhaps Harry might just supply some footage. But Charlie's now gone into the pits.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the fighting that's just gone on there. But I mean, it's hard now because Jamie's up into P3 now with a 3-second time penalty, and Harry's now got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
He does have that, of course, guys get to choose whatever assists they want on this game. I've restricted it quite a bit, but there's still a bit of leeway, and Harry does not want help with his pit lane entries or exits, and that's what happens. He has now got a 5-second penalty due to it.
May I just say, Dan, it looks on my screen that it looks like it's raining a little bit harder now. I can see those raindrops on the track. It makes it some standing water in some of the track. And George still trying to go wheel to wheel with Preston. Preston holding his place and showing George that he's not going to get past easily. You
mentioned, more rain coming down, but Bailey, Charlie, a lot of the other AIs have gone on to dries.
I mean, for me, it doesn't look dry enough to even go on the dries just yet, And if for some reason, if I start seeing lap times and if I start seeing the fastest laps come up from the bottom, people on the on slicks, then I think it'd be time for these two to pit. And I feel like George has to react. So whoever's in front has to make a decision, and the driver behind can react to that. So I mean, whoever. Preston comes into pit, and so does George. And here it is, people. These two, I was just talking about having to react, and they do both come into the pit. So maybe they think that it's time for the slicks.
Followed by Jamie, actually. All the top 3 guys going in the pits together, all matching each other's strategies here. What is going to happen? Are we sure this is time for dries? It's looking very much like it with everyone going on them.
And may I just say, I mean, I've seen George, he's opted to go into the hards as well as Preston. He's opted to go in the mediums.
Charlie and George having a wheel to wheel, but Charlie manages to get in front, obviously having more momentum coming out of that corner that George did coming out of the pit lane. Nice overtake by Charlie, and now he's on to Preston with DRS enabled finally.
Yeah, I mean, that's good now, but Charlie He is on the soft compound, so he looks like he's trying to go aggressive this lap, and he's gonna have to push all his might, and he's gone purple sector 1. So will he get past Preston this lap? He has DRS open. He's got to follow him through. If he just sits behind him before he gets onto the last straight, before they go into that hairpin. But Charlie, he goes for a move down the inside. They both rub tyres for a second, and Preston comes back through round the inside of Charlie and gets back in front of Charlie, and Preston still in front. I mean, I was just talking before, like, if Charlie sits behind him, doesn't make a move before he gets onto this straight, you know, this is where you want to be making your moves. This is where you should be making a move, because then you go into the next corner, it's the hairpin, and then you get onto the straight.
And he's got past it on the inside. Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure we did not miss that moment. Charlie has gone into the corner with that P1 position, but don't mistake, there is DRS here as well. This is Preston Chance. He has the DRS right now. He is going for Charlie, and doesn't look like he's going to be able to get it before the corner. Preston takes it a bit wide, and Charlie keeps hold of that P1 position.
But you see what I mean, though? Like, if you get that move done on the straight where Charlie did, you can hold him up into that corner. And, you know, if the driver behind you has a really poor exit, you're going to have the bestest time on the pit straight, because then you know that you're going to be safe. You only have to deploy a little bit of ERS because it's only a short straight, and then you're into turn 1 already before you even know it.
Yes, it's definitely a very interesting one, that's for sure. But it's someone we haven't checked on in a while, of course, is Bailey down in P17 now, having a battle with Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll tried to get that position, but Bailey said, no you don't, and took that P16 position. Well done to Bailey. Has 4 seconds to make up, to catch up to Alexander Albon. Can he make up that time?
I reckon he can. He's on the soft, so I mean, I hope he has the pace, you know. But it depends what Alexander Albon is on as well, you know. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you know, I hope he can catch up. Maybe a safety car will do Bailey right now to catch up to the back of the pack, squeezes everyone in. So maybe a safety car would suit Bailey more than anyone else right now. For someone like Charlie, or would not be loving a safety car because he's leading by 1.1 seconds, and he probably doesn't want a safety car now, and probably praying to not have a safety car. And Jamie moves up into P4 right now, as someone goes into the pits, I believe. Or no, you might.
Oh, you were saying?
Yeah, I was saying that I thought Fernando Alonso was in the pits, but he's not. He actually made a pure move on Fernando Alonso up into P4. So.
Nice one by Jamie there, and now of course he has that 7 seconds to make up on George, who has the 2.3 seconds to make up on Preston, who has that 1.1 second to make up on Charlie. Can they each catch up and squeeze him in a bit and have a four-way battle, or are they going to stay separated for the rest of this race?
Nah, I reckon that when Charlie has to pit again, this is the whole point. Charlie's gone into softs hoping to maybe gain the lead like he has now, but the one thing that we have to take into account now is that Charlie has to make another pit stop, because he's on the softs and he's not going to make these last into the end of the race. So maybe a safety car might actually suit Charlie to change the tyres and get a free pit stop without actually using a lot of time to the front runners, you know.
Very true. So, and Harry, very big collision with Yuki Tsunoda. What's going on here? Managed to get the overtake, but what a big collision. Was that due to lag, or what was that due to? I don't know. I'll have to ask him a bit later.
Yeah, I mean, I've just seen up on the top left-hand screen now that Preston is now set a fastest lap. So Preston is now pushing, and he's only 0.5 of a second behind Charlie. That gap was 1.1 just a few minutes ago. Now it's down to 0.5 of a second.
It's really getting close, and I definitely think we'll see another battle very soon. I mean, can't we just remember the battle that Preston just had with George? What a great battle that truly was. But now Preston has Charlie in his sights, and he wants that P1 position. He wants to come back for one race and do this right and take that P1 position.
If they keep fighting, it brings George back into it. So ideally, Preston wants to clear Charlie as soon as possible, because the longer he sits behind Charlie, the quicker George gets to them lot. And I see in the top left right now, the gap was 2.3, now it's at 1.8. George is pushing, it's 1.2 now, and he's right there now with these front runners now. That fight now has not suited Preston or Charlie, because George has brought himself back in. You know, despite George being on the hard compound, you know, he's coming back. So maybe he thought, these hard, you know, I won't push as hard as at the moment.
Maybe going for it on the inside, and he gets it, but no, that's not for sure.
They still go to Will.
What is going to happen here? Preston trying to push a little bit of a collision.
Real
Contact, but Preston maybe getting the DRS. No, he doesn't. And Charlie still takes that P1 position, but Preston is not done with him. He is charging after him. Can he get this move done?
Yeah, I mean, it was great defending from Charlie. He placed his car in all the right places and made sure that he was calm and collected and composed as well, you know, to have that happen. You know, I would have thought Preston would have cleared him at that rate, but they were going wheel to wheel, and, you know, it was great defending from Charlie, and great racing from the pair of them, may I say. You know,
we just appreciate you have Charlie on softs, Preston on mediums, and George on hard. So, you know, obviously Charlie, faster tyres, shortest life. And then you have George with the slowest tyres, but the longest life. And then Preston middle, it's whoever has charged the better wheels. It's the battle that's going to win one of them P1 here.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. It's going to be great for George, because if George can look after his tyres, not push as hard, but still push, if you get what I mean, he could be really in a great position, because if Preston keeps pushing the tyres like he is now, he's not going to have much life towards the end of the races. Compared to George, he can have a lot of tyre life, which could put George in a massive advantage. And as Preston goes down the inside of Charlie and makes this move work this time, and now that's the tyre wear speaking for Charlie. But Charlie doesn't give up just yet. He's going to come back at Preston, and will Preston be able to keep this position? Looks like he's going to try go around the outside. It's not going to happen just for it, and Preston gets the move done. What a move from Preston. And now Preston is now clear of Charlie, and now, you know, if these two kept on fighting for a couple more laps, you know, they could have brought George into it. But I've just seen in the top left, Bailey has spun. Oh,
I can
no.
tell you exactly what happened by watching his stream. Yes, go over to twitch.tv/Barry to watch his POV right now, people, or his highlights will be uploaded anyway. Point is, he went for the dive down George Russell, and there was a collision between both of them. They both fought for that for the main line, and none of them won it. George obviously got out, but they both spun, and George just got out before Bailey did.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unfortunate. You know, Bailey was doing good at the start, and now he sort of dropped off. So maybe it's maybe when it comes to slicks, his pace isn't as good as what he thinks it is. But as compared to the wet, you know, he can be right up there. But I mean, I'm watching George's on board at the moment. He's really super close. He's only 0.3 of a second behind Charlie. Will he pull out to the outside? He pulls out to the left-hand side of Charlie. He goes down the inside. Oh, not quite. He pulls back to the inside. He was going for a move. He looked for a second and thought, nah, I'm not making this move, Chief.
It's not going to work. But Harry, unfortunately, has got overtaken by Fernando Alonso. But might be going... not Harry. Jamie has gone back for the move on the inside of Alonso and got that P4. But Alonso is not backing down and has taken that P4 position. But has Jamie thought tactically and thought, I'm going to get DRS. Unfortunately, he's not getting DRS. But Jamie tries it again on the inside but can't push it. And unfortunately, Fernando Alonso does take that P4 position.
Preston spun! Preston spun! No! Preston is now down into P3 after spinning out, which means Charlie's back into the lead. Oh no! I've just seen a Haas in the middle of the corner, and they've both front runners, George and Charlie, have had to gone slightly wide to avoid hitting Preston. And that is not good for Preston, the man who was leading the race, the man who made superb moves on these two drivers out in front, has now spun. It's quite unfortunate for Preston, but, you know, with the blistering pace that he's got, I have no doubt that he can get himself back up in a matter of laps.
And of course, you do have to take in, Charlie will be pitting before Preston, and then it'll be George after him. So Charlie's pit, and then George's pit after Preston's will hopefully bring him back up. It's just Preston's pit might bring him back down a bit, obviously, but he'll work that out eventually, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think George doesn't need to pit. He's on the hards. He's already made one stop, and Charlie's in a pits, which means George is going into the lead of this race.
Can we just appreciate Jamie right now in a freeway battle with laggy, what looks like laggy AIs, but Jamie may be pulling in front.
And Harry's
is
in the front of it.
As well, Harry and Jamie make it through to P4 and P5. Now a battle between both drivers potentially. Harry gets the DRS and goes for the move on Jamie. Can he stretch it out? I believe Charlie has dropped down to P6. In fact, I'm not sure whether it was a pit or not, but Jamie up to P3, Harry up to P4, and Charlie now in P6 as well. Fernando Alonso is in there as well. What is happening here?
Yeah, it's great little scrap for third place. Like I was saying, third place is going to be a good scrap today. I told you. I mean, there's many drivers out here today who are, they make slight contact as Jamie moves into the left-hand side of that Ferrari, and Harry, he's going to try and fight this Ferrari to the end, and Fernando Alonso is going to overtake as well. It's because Jamie has no DRS, he's a sitting duck essentially. Oh, and he's locked up, and they've gone round. Harry has gone round at the head.
What's going on? Harry's reversing. Jamie's going forward. 5-second penalty for Harry for a severe collision with Jamie. What was that? Complete unorganisation there. Completely. You would have thought Harry would have gone forward. Jamie gone forward. But Harry decided to go back. And what a collision, can we just say. But can we just hop down to P20 a minute? Bailey had a 24-second gap. Now down to 16-second gap. What has happened to him today? I really do not know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that maybe the wets, he felt more confident in that car. Now it's turned to slicks. You know, maybe that confidence has gone away a bit more. So, I mean, I think it might be that he likes the wet more than he does the slicks. You know, some drivers actually prefer that kind of stuff, you know, and that's a real thing, you know. Like, some drivers actually prefer racing in the wet than they do in the dry.
Yeah, it is really showing through right now, but if we look back up to the top, you've got George in P1, Preston in P2. Also, did my mic just go very muffly there and stuff, or just for a second? Or did you hear anything, or was I...
I did hear a little bit of ruffling a little bit.
Okay, I apologise about that, I really do. But as long as it wasn't too bad, was it, be honest?
No, it wasn't that bad, to be fair. And there's like a Red Bull's gone round, and I think Jamie might have spun, maybe. Jamie looks like he had a collision.
He's down to P15 here. What is going on? Bailey back to a 24-second gap now. What is going on with Bailey? We look back up to the top. Preston's back up in P2 with a 2-second gap. Charlie is in P3 with a 14-second gap. What? This is utter collision, this race. Yeah,
I mean, you know, I have no doubt that Preston's would get back up. Like I said, like, Preston will get back up in a matter of laps. You saw his pace. You know, he got pole. But, you know, because his tyres are not going to be good, and maybe by lap 20, maybe lap 25, George is going to have a huge advantage. And as Charlie sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:31.8, you know, I unless a safety car comes out, or these two keep fighting for a bit, looks like Charlie could be out of this race win today. He might get P2.
Both George and Preston do still have to pit, don't forget.
No, they don't. George and Preston don't need to pit because they've gone to a different compound already, remember?
I mean, no, well, they probably will do, because although George probably won't due to being on hards, but Preston's mediums are now 9 laps old. What is that? Still 12 laps left to go. I don't think mediums will be stretched out that far.
No, I mean, when they get stretched towards the end, the tire life and the grip levels are not going to be great. But it depends on how nicely Preston has looked after him. And it doesn't look like Preston's looked after him. He looks like he's full on pushed. He's pushed it, and soon I have no doubt that he will have to make a pit stop to maybe the softs, because he probably don't want to go on the hards, and maybe the softs are the next best option to maybe go towards the end with him. And even then, you're pushing them, and they're not particularly great, like we saw in Spain with Jamie. Put them up, put the softs on, and then dropped off towards the end of the race. So you have to take into account that the mediums are going to start to run out soon for Preston. But Preston is still doing a superb job with the tyres he's got and the situation he's in, despite spinning. So that might have taken some tyre life out of him as well. I think as long as George did what Preston did to George when George was trying to pass him, I think George will be fine.
Yes, it's definitely going to be very interesting, that is for sure. I'm just gonna quickly do something a second. I'm very, very sorry, but keep commentating. Very sorry.
No, it's fine. So no worries. As Preston now, he's trying to still get past George. He's past George. He's only 0.5 of a second, so he will have DRS on this straight, which means that could probably he might get past George as he's super, super close. 0.3 of a second now, 0.4 of a second behind George, and he will have DRS to help him. He will probably end up deploying ARS as well to get past George. And as he's going down the back straight now, Preston looks like he's going to pull out to the left-hand side. He's going to go down the inside of George, and Preston makes the move. George touches his wing on Preston's rear right, and George has spun it round the corner, and this has not helped George.
Oh my god, of course, the time where I go away for a second, I'm very sorry again, just got very, very hot for a second. Preston has taken that P1 position. We did not doubt for a second Preston could take that back, and he is back on top, showing everyone up, showing why he is the reserve driver, the main man, the Season 1 World Drivers' Champion.
I tell you what, this man, he's been on some blistering pace this race. He's been absolutely bang on it. The moment he got into the car, still on a superb race so far, despite spinning, and he has come back from that. His pace has been really, really strong this whole race, and everyone's had to challenge Preston, and still no one has taken him out just yet, so
it's definitely got very, very interesting. But of course, we do have the three-way battle for first place. But should we just drop down and look at the other drivers for right now? Jamie might be going for an overtake on Carlos Sainz here for that P11 position. It would definitely be great if he could get it. That is for sure. Harry in P14, not really close to Nicholas Latifi, but hopefully going to build that time down, and it's looking like it might be getting that overtake very soon as well. Bailey in P20 with an 8-second gap. He's definitely building that time down, just very slowly. Can he make a few positions up, do you think?
Yeah, with 10 laps to go, he has a lot of, still quite a bit of way to go to maybe try get back to George Russell and get P19. I'm quite surprised, I haven't seen any safety cars or anyone DNFing, despite having a wet start, and then towards lap 7, 8, everyone transferred over onto the softs, or on the slicks, should I say. So, it's quite good. I feel like Jamie can probably get into the points depending if he can clear Carlos Sainz in this next couple of laps. If he stays behind him any sooner, I don't think that he will be getting any points today. But despite that, I think Red Bull are currently the leading constructors team at the moment with the most amount of points in constructors.
They are by only about
2 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, only by 2 points, and he will want to help his teammates score more points, as obviously George will be scoring loads of points today, which will probably take his team, Alfa Romeo, up to the top of the constructors, as well as drivers as well. If this man stays where he is and doesn't DNF, he will clear the next car, which I think at the moment it's Perez and Charlie, who are on equal points with 26 points each after 2 races.
Yes, of course, and we must take into account Lando Norris in P4 and Lewis Hamilton in P6. If that
Oh,
stays the same, it's definitely
may I
interesting.
say, may I say that Preston has pit now, which means George is back up into the lead of the race, and I wonder what Preston's gone on to. We're about to find out. He's going on the soft compound like I predicted, because there is...
Oh, sorry, but you'll really want to know this fact about Preston. If you all want to take just a wild trip back to Sochi in season 1, we had what an eventful race. Harry DNF'd, safety car. Preston goes on softs with only like 5-6 laps left to go of that race. What does he do? Safety car starts. He's at the back of the line. He goes through every single AI. He catches up to Callum. He overtakes him and takes that P1 spot in Sochi and wins. With only a few laps left to go, because of that safety car, he went on softs and he won straight from P20. No one else has been able to do that since. Will we see a minor recreation of that, but from P3 today here in Miami?
I think you're forgetting that last race, George was at the back of the grid and he still came first, to be fair, so...
I'm pretty sure he was what, like P18 or something, wasn't he?
No, he did spin out again, and then he went to the back of the grid, and then he climbed his way back up.
Ah, fair enough. So there's been only 2 people in DFL history that have managed to do that. But will we see Preston may again be able to recreate it a little tiny bit? He is catching up to Charlie with only about 6 laps left to go, 7 laps left to go, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one, that's for sure.
Yeah, may I just say, a saying that one of my mates told me, it's one man to catch but another to pass. So, will this quote be a factor? You know, it's one man to catch but another to pass. Preston having to pass Charlie, and it's a safety car, and it's a safety car, and I do not know why. I wonder why. And Bailey, I look at him, and he's got no front wing.
What has happened to Bailey here? All I see is he has the safety car queue, but no one else has been affected. No one's DNF, so it must be due to Bailey. This changes the whole complexion of the race.
Yeah, I mean, George has to pit this lap. He has no choice to pit. You know, if he pits now, I think he might cut. Oh no, he might not. He might actually, depending on. He might come out P2, P3, depending on how the pit stop is. He needs to pit onto the softs, though. He cannot stay on these compound no more, because the cars behind him have fresher and faster tyres. And especially with Preston on the flying softs, you know. This safety car has really played into the hands of Preston and Charlie this race. And, you know, I think it might have played into the hands of Jamie and Harry, maybe. So, George, as you see George coming to the pits now, I'm pretty sure he will come onto these softs compound. As you see, Charlie can run the final few corners, but Charlie comes into the pits as well. So that's very, very interesting. And as George goes into the softs...
And Preston. The 3 of them are going for new tyres.
I mean, I would have said to Preston keep going, because I think he might have he would have cleared Charlie if he stayed out. But, you know, he probably wants to have the freshest tyres he can possible to give him that extra advantage over the rest of them. But everyone else, and as Bailey has to lap the safety car to come round.
Disqualified from session, ignoring yellow flag. What?
And Bailey with a 5-second time penalty as well. So that's Bailey out of the race, being disqualified, which will not be happy for him. He will probably be not happy about this race, but I'm sure he will be with us sooner or later to tell his side of the story.
Can we get him in now, in fact?
Yeah, if you want to get him in now, you can actually.
We've done it before with me and Ritvik and Jamie.
Yeah, we did it with him when he was in we did Bahrain.
Right, let's get him in, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, you know. I
Should we
feel bad.
join me interview VC so we can get him in? See, I don't know if he's going to join, but we'll see. Should we?
Oh wait.
Oh, there we go. We have Bailey, and I'm just moving thingy into here. Right, Bailey. Very unfortunate race.
I'm so confused.
Did it tell you to lap the safety car?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that.
I mean, I just got lapped by George in the pits.
Right.
So I was like, and then when I'm out the pits and George is just out in front of me, it's like lap the safety car because he's obviously on lap 24, whatever. I'm on lap 23 or whatever it is. So I lap the safety car, and then it says give Pat the positions. I brake so they can go in front of me, and then it straight away black flags me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure about that, but it might be a glitch. But as in the process of talking, Alexander Albon has now DNF'd this race as well.
I mean, well, yeah, Alex Albon, unfortunate, but even an FIA complete mess up there of the game, mate. I don't understand what's happened to you, mate. Honestly, unbelievable.
I mean, I'm having a stinky race anyway because George has, excuse my French, but he's absolutely fucked me all race. And then I get lapped because I've had to pit 3 times because of him. And then I'm trying to lap to catch the safety car queue, and then it tells me to give the places back. And then, like, it did black flags me. I fuck knows.
I have to say, very, I don't know if I can even put it into words, mate. I'm really sorry for this happened to you.
Yeah.
I was getting last anyway because I've just had such a poor race. Bottas was going into the back of me. Russell was hugging me like there's no tomorrow for 10 laps. I don't know.
May I just say, Bailey, I mean, I saw you during qualifying and I thought maybe the wet suits you more. I mean, do you feel the wet suits you more than the dry suits you?
I mean,
you know what I'm trying to say?
When I started the qualifying and I saw it raining, I was like, okay, I can get used to this because I know a lot of drivers struggle on the wets, and it proved in qualifying. I was P12 at one point. I got a very strong qualifying, and then I then obviously started P15 because some people overtook me, and I just didn't qualify because I didn't want to risk the car or anything.
Yeah.
But I was happy with it. Then going out, it was still raining. I was like, okay, capitalise on it. And
Bailey,
then,
sorry to interrupt you real quick, but we're about to watch Lights Out as George leads. Oh, and George has spun! And George has spun it already! And Charlie has now taken the lead of the race, and he restarts the race. He is leading now with Lando Norris in second place. Preston, he sends it down the inside. Yeah, I don't know what happened to George, maybe cold tyres, but, you know, looked like he's been warming them all race.
I have to ask Bailey, when did George affect you? Because I swear, correct me if I'm wrong here, but George's been up top all the time, or is that...
He means Russell,
Oh, Russell.
George Russell.
Ah, makes more sense.
No, it was me, Stroll, Ricciardo, Russell, and Bottas at the back. Bottas had a 5-second penalty because he'd spun out or something and blocked the track, and we was all just waiting there. And then Ricciardo had steamed on ahead a little bit. Stroll was behind us, and then I had at one point Bottas just going into the side of me of every turn. I'm turning fine on the outside. He's just going into me, and then on the straights, especially the main straight coming up to the start of each lap, that long straight. Every opportunity, instead of George Russell, instead of just going round me like he could, I gave him the space. He just goes into the back of me, clipping my back tyre. I spun out about 4 times on that one straight alone that they're on now because George had just spun me out, and then I was in front of him, and then I get a warning. I'm like, what can I do?
Unfortunately, it's the AIs this year, ain't it?
It pissed me off all season.
Yeah. I know, obviously, the race hasn't been great, but do you want to help us finish off with this commentating? It'd be good to have you on.
I can do.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I'm currently watching Preston and Charlie fight away, and Preston's only 5/10 behind Charlie. So I mean, this can be very, very good end to the end of the session with 3 laps to go. I mean, predictions. Who do you think's going to come out on top? Who do you reckon will win this race?
Preston.
Yeah, I was going to say Preston. I mean, every time I looked up at the top of my screen, it was Preston getting a new fastest lap, and he's been so strong even in qualifying. I saw him flying past everyone, and I reckon if he maintains it throughout these final 3 or 4 laps, he'll get the P1.
You should have seen, of course, if you watch this race
Yeah.
video, you'll see. But George and Preston, and then Charlie and Preston, and then the 3 of them, Preston, no matter what has been thrown at him, his defending has been brilliant. He's, no matter what, he has not let anybody past him except when he's pitted today. He's just been amazing.
Yeah. Dan, sorry to interrupt you, but George has managed to climb his way back up into P3. So if these two keep scrapping out in front, George can be back in. George could be back in it within no problem, which that spin could mean nothing. But, I mean, depends how long Charlie can keep Preston behind him. Because as you saw last time, these two were scrapping for several laps. And, Charlie was holding up Preston, which meant George could come back in.
Yes, and can we just appreciate going off of that? If you want to say anything, by the way, Bailey, you can. If there's anything important, you just say it. Can we just appreciate Jamie for a second, up to P9, but does have that 3-second time penalty, which will take him down below Harry. So, which means, I believe, Harry will, correct me if I'm wrong, because my maths is awful.
He'll gain like P9, maybe, because Perez has also got a penalty as well. So both Red Bulls have penalties, which will affect these guys scoring points this race.
That is a very unlucky race for Red Bull indeed. But what's your predictions happening with Bailey, with Jamie and Harry? Because we haven't really discussed those guys yet. What's going on today with them?
I mean, I haven't seen much of them all race because I've been stuck at the back. But from what I've seen throughout the whole season, it hasn't been the brightest of starts of the season from both teams, and they'll be definitely looking to improve throughout the season. But with them penalties, I see both Ferrari drivers maybe climbing into the points and getting the win over Red Bull this weekend.
We're just going to go straight back up to the top because Preston has the DRS. He is hunting down Charlie now, but George says the fastest lap with a 1:30.802. This is an intense battle for that P1 position, with all 3 of them being on the same tyres, lap hold tyres, if you get what I mean. This first place battle is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, today, Miami has produced an awesome race for us. Being at a new track as well, I mean, adds that extra excitement as well. We've had 3 people. I think at one rate, we might have even had 4 people fighting for P1 or trying to fight for the win. But, it's been a really, really interesting race for the podium slots, for each podium slot, should I say. Because you had Harry, you had Jamie, you had Charlie fighting for P3, and George and Preston fighting for P1 and 2. So, I think it's really great, but I feel like we was denied a more exciting for the adventure because George spinning out after that safety car restart messed him up, and now he's managed to climb his way back up, but he will not.
Here we go with Preston DR. Sorry to interrupt you, Peter, but Preston has taken P1 on me.
But Preston goes wide. And I think they cracked. Oh no, I thought they touched water for a second.
Contact, yes, but Preston's going with the DRS down the main straight here. Last lap. This is the last chance for all drivers. Preston may be taking me inside line here, but he cannot stretch in front.
Charlie doing everything in his power now. This is where he needs to go maximum attack and maximum defend. Deploy all your ERS into this one lap because this is it. This is his moment to take a second race win of the season if he can do it. If Preston can't get past him, this will be his second race win within 3 races. After the man who DNF'd last race could potentially come back. But Preston will have DRS this sector. Don't forget that. So just he is probably would want to let Preston maybe come past and get him back on the back straight like he did to him that other time when he was on the softs.
This upcoming straight will be the important one, that is for sure.
I mean, this is either Preston needs to have a mucky sector now, and Charlie needs to have a really clean sector here. Will Preston follow through closely? It's 0.5 of a second. It looks like Charlie had a good exit out of there, and George with 2.8 seconds behind. George will not be in this, but Preston has DRS. This is his last chance now. This is where he needs to send it.
He's not catching up. He is not doing it. He hasn't.
The man who DNF'd last race comes back to win the Miami Grand Prix!
And that is Charlie taking that P1 spot once again. Second race win in a season. What is your opinion, Bailey?
I mean, it's very strong. It's from Bahrain. I saw he was a very talented driver, to be fair. But then, after the poor race in Spain last weekend, I wondered if he'd have the mentality to come back and win here in Miami, but he's definitely shown that he does today, and it'll be down to him capitalising and winning more races each week and pushing for the championship at the end of the season.
Here we go for the podium. Here comes Charlie, and what a great race from the three of them today. Preston coming out on that second place, Charlie in that first place, and George taking a third place. What is going on? This is an amazing race. I was about to say we'll be right back for you with the lead, but there's still some time to go. Quickly, boys, your opinions. Oh.
Yeah, sorry. That was a thrilling end to the race, and it was very unlucky for Preston. You know, he was there. I'm sure he would want to come back and get revenge to get a win.
Do you want me to do a rundown or you? We've got to be quick.
You can do it. You can do it.
Taking that P1 is Charlie. Following on is a reserve driver Preston, then George, then comes Harry, then comes Jamie in P11. Of course, Harry in P6. Sorry, unfortunately, we do have Bailey DNFing, but I'm sure in Imola he will come back strong, won't you, Bailey? Yes, with that is the end of Miami. We'll see you next time in Imola. See you then, people. Goodbye.